Hello, today we're going talking about the significance of ideological differences between the capitalist bloc and communist bloc. And what's the role of ideological difference play as a part of the causes of the Cold War? So from this page, you can see the Cold War was a fundamental clash of ideologies and interests. So my question is, why can't they just regard each other's difference? Because in our daily life, we always talk about respect different people's ideas, right? So why can't they just respect each other for their differences, but instead they have to start a Cold War, right? So what were the differences between these two camps? On one side, we have the communist state, which was the USSR, who followed Karl Marx and Lenin's teaching, that is the Marxism-Leninism, right? That conflicts between communism and capitalism was unavoidable because according to Karl Marx, this is like different stages. The fourth stage is capitalism, and then the ultimate and last stage is communism. So to achieve communism, actually you have to go through capitalism. So on the other side is capitalism, which represented by US and its allies for much of the time saw the USSR as an evil empire. Actually, evil empire is directly quoted from one of the presidents in US in 1983, and intent on the destruction of democracy and civil rights, because they think you're not communism, you're just authoritarian state, you're just like dictatorship, right? So that's the reason why they don't think they should agree with them. But on the other hand, why they can't just leave US and other allies alone and now have to spread their ideologies? It's because Marx, the one who started Marxism, he argued that capitalism and the bourgeoisie actually means those capitalists who have money or own those factories in an industrial society would inevitably be overthrown by the workers or proletariat in a socialist revolution. That means how to transform from the stage 4, which is the capitalist state, to the stage 5, which is the communist state, is through a socialist revolution. So for the USSR, for the Bolshevik party, for the Communist Party in Russia, they think it is their faith to start a socialist revolution, and this is their faith since they are representing the proletariat. Proletariat means all the citizens, all the people, right? And the workers. That is the reason why actually they think they are saving their country, they're saving the world from the evil capitalists. They think it's their duty to do this. And this initially would lead to a dictatorship of the proletariat in which the working class would break up the old order. So while they start this kind of socialist revolution, they always think it's their duty to lead the whole country to transform to a communist state. So even though at this stage it can be regarded as a dictatorship of proletariat, but they always think that, and they always persuade all the people that they are on their track to the communist state. Eventually, a true communist society, that means with their effort, with their some level of dictatorship, finally, eventually, a true communist society would emerge in which money is no longer needed and each gives according to their ability to those according to their needs. So, and also at the same time, crime, envy, rivalry would become things of the past because these things only happened in capitalist, since they were based on greed and economic competition. Because in capitalist society, it always encouraged economic competition. It always talk about Darwinism, the strong will stay while the weak will just die, right? So if we try to see the nature of this idea, the nature of communism is profoundly hostile to capitalism. That means all the communists, they always think that they're not only having different ideas. Actually, the other idea is not only different, it's opposing them. And it's their duty and job to overthrow this kind of like evil ideology, which was the capitalist. So what were the differences? We can put it into three aspects: political aspect, economic aspect, and then we have social aspect. For political aspect, under capitalist state, the practice of multi-party politics. That means at that state you can have different parties, just like what US we're having today, right? Respect for freedom of speech. That means you can free to give out your idea to other people, while on the other hand, communist state, which is under USSR, the practice of one party communist rule and no opposition allowed. For economic aspect, that is private ownership allowed. You can have your own property, and also distributions based on contribution. If you want to get more, just work harder. This is like what others tell you like all the time, right? But in communist states, state ownership of all means of production. So for the states, they were owning all different kind of production. But the purpose is not to dictate you. The purpose is to redistribute it, the wealth to different people, right, equally. So last, the social aspect. Under capitalist states, people having relatively more or less freedom, do you think? Of course, more freedom, right? While on the other side, people under communist states, they were having less freedom, and also society divided into different classes. But in communist states, only one class in the society. So, this is a quote from a comment from one of historians talking about the nature of the Cold War and focus on all the ideological difference. Let's see what he talked about. Fundamentally, the Cold War was a confrontation between the United States and Soviet Union, yes, fueled on both sides by the belief that the ideology of the other side had to be destroyed. Just as I mentioned, in nature, it's not only about difference, it's about opposition, it's about conflicts, it's about their duty to overthrow the other, right? In this sense, coexistence was not possible. The Soviet Union held to Lenin's belief that conflict between communism and capitalism was inevitable. The United States believed that the peace and security in the world would only emerge when the evil of communism had been exorcised. That means expelled, that means disappeared. So, from this comment, you can see how ideological difference can cause the Cold War, right? It's not only about different ideas, it's about their ideas actually were confronting each other. It's about they are opposing each other. And one is denying the other, right? And they have the mutual purpose to destroy each other. This is the reason why, even they have different idea, they have to have a war to sort this out instead of other means, right? But a Cold War, of course, not a real hot war, not a large scale actual fight like in First World War and Second World War.